There's a kind of silence that doesn't sound like peace. It feels like pressure. And the most haunting part, it doesn't come from you. It comes from her. Imagine this. Every single day she thinks about you, yet your phone will never light up with her name again. Because this isn't the kind of silence where love dies. No. This is where pride and pain collide. She's not gone. She's stuck, caught between wanting to reach out and needing you to break first. And if you don't see that for what it is, you'll stay trapped, chained to a question that has no answer, playing a waiting game you were never meant to win. But here's the truth. Her silence is not emptiness. It's a mirror. It reflects back the reality she's been avoiding. Every day you don't fold, that mirror becomes harder for her to face. And when the image finally comes into focus, it changes everything. So start this journey now, like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station. Drop a 1 if you've held the line, or a 2 if you've broken it and paid the price. I read every comment, and I see you. You're not alone in this. What you're about to hear will challenge how you see her and how you see yourself, because this isn't silence, it's a test, and the way you answer rewrites everything. Let's begin. 1. Silence turns the mirror on her. Your silence is not a void, it's a mirror, and mirrors do not lie. They show what's there, even if the other person has been doing everything in their power to look away. A man's silence, when grounded in self-respect, reflects back a truth she's been trying to avoid, the reality of what she walked away from. It's not about ignoring her or pretending you don't care. It's about holding still long enough for the image to come into focus. Most men can't bear the weight of not knowing. The uncertainty eats at them until they break. One small text, a casual "hey," a harmless reaction to her story, these little cracks let all the tension you've built spill out. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts back in her favor. She feels in control again, reassured that you still orbit her world, and the game resets to the way she expected it to play. That's why most men never see the silent power they hold, because they trade it for temporary relief. She expected you to fold just like that. She counted on your curiosity outweighing your patience. She assumed that your need to be seen, to be acknowledged, would override your discipline. It's a script she's seen before. Most men eventually come back in some form, and every day you don't follow it, every day you remain still, you chip away at the safety of the story she tells herself. He still wants me. He's just holding back. That story is her shield. It protects her from facing regret. It keeps her from asking the uncomfortable questions about whether she misjudged you, whether she underestimated what she had, whether she let go of something she can't replace. But every day you stay silent, that shield develops cracks. At first, it's just doubt, a faint voice that whispers when the noise dies down. But over time, the whisper turns into something sharper, something she can't ignore, the suspicion that she may have lost more than she gained. This is where Stoicism offers a sharper lens. The principle of apatheia, freedom from being ruled by passion, doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything but choose where you place your energy. You are not suppressing your emotions, you are mastering them. You are not avoiding her to wound her, you are protecting the mental space where your life is rebuilt. You're choosing to keep your focus on what is within your control, not chasing what isn't. Silence in this form becomes an act of clarity. It is the cleanest, most unshakable way to show her the reality she may have refused to see. No explanations, no defense, no campaign to change her mind. Just a steady, unyielding presence in your own life that makes her feel the absence where her certainty used to be. And the longer you hold that ground, the more her confidence begins to erode. This is why your silence matters. It is not the emptiness that unsettles her, it's the reflection it throws back, It forces her to sit with questions she can't answer. What if he's not thinking about me at all? What if I was wrong about him? What if he's already outgrown me? Those questions don't just pass through her mind. They linger. They come back at night. They come back in quiet moments. And they carry a weight no message from you could ever deliver. Every day you remain unmoved, you become less predictable and more unforgettable. You replace her certainty with a tension she can't resolve without breaking her own pride. And the moment she realizes she can't summon you like before, the balance shifts entirely. That's when she begins to feel, not just think about, what she's lost. Hold the line. Not for revenge, not to manipulate, but because you are building something that can't grow in the noise of chasing what's gone. Let her see the man who doesn't collapse into the old pattern. Let her watch you stand in your stillness until it becomes undeniable. The mirror is already in front of her. Your only job now is to keep it there. And when she finally sees the truth it reflects, it won't feel like freedom. It will feel like absence. The kind that stays. The kind she never thought she'd have to live with. The kind that keeps her wondering long after the silence has done its work. Stay silent. Stay steady. Let her see herself. The longer you do, the harder it will be for her to look away. And that's where the shift begins. 2. Her quiet is a battlefield. Her silence is not surrender, it's combat. Beneath that calm surface, she's fighting a war you can't see, a war she doesn't want you to know she's losing. Men often mistake this kind of stillness for indifference, assuming she's already moved on. But in truth, it's pride locked in a wrestling match with longing. She wants to reach out, but every instinct warns her that vulnerability means defeat. Inside her mind, two opposing voices clash. One urges her to break the silence, to test if the connection still breathes. The other clings to control, terrified that if she moves first, she'll confirm she's the one who cares more. And so, she stays quiet, at least on the surface. Outwardly, she hides behind curated posts, well-rehearsed smiles, and a life staged to look whole. But in private, she's watching. She checks if you've seen her story. She notes the absence of your name in her notifications. She wonders what your silence means, and whether it's as deliberate as it feels. This is loss aversion in motion, the mind's deep bias to fear losing something far more than it desires gaining anything new. Your silence doesn't just hold space, it magnifies that fear. Every day you say nothing, you let that tension expand. It presses against her pride, forcing her to carry the weight of questions she refuses to ask aloud. That's why breaking formation is the worst thing you could do. She is probing the walls of your resolve, searching for cracks that prove you're still within reach. The moment she finds one, the entire balance tips in her favor. But when those walls hold, when your stillness is steady and unmoved, she has nothing to grab onto. You become something she can't predict, and unpredictability is what keeps the battlefield tilted in your direction. Imagine yourself as a fortress, not built to keep her out, but to protect the space where your own strength grows. Inside, you're not cold or bitter, you're focused. You're tending to the life you're building, the man you're becoming, the mission that now commands your attention. From the outside, she can't tell if you're unaffected or transformed, and that uncertainty is the most powerful pressure you can create without lifting a finger. Marcus Aurelius said, "Stand upright, speak the truth, or speak not at all." In this battle, your silence is the truth. It says you won't be drawn into a skirmish that costs you your center. Let her fight her inner war without you offering the truth she's hoping for. Because the moment you hand her that peace, you lose the very ground she's been circling. And when a man refuses to surrender his position, he becomes the one thing on the battlefield she can't conquer, and the one thing she can't forget. 3. Break first, lose everything. It only takes one message to dismantle months of quiet strength. One small crack in your resolve, and all the discipline you've built starts to unravel. At first, it doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like relief. Your mind convinces you it's harmless, that it might even be necessary to clear the air or to get closure. But relief is not resolution. Relief is a short-term fix for a discomfort you haven't yet learned to master, and it comes at the cost of everything you've worked to create. The urge to reach out is rarely about genuine connection. It's not a measured decision rooted in clarity. It's a reflex to end the tension. That tension feels like weight on your chest, a constant hum in your mind, and your instincts want it gone. But the moment you act on that impulse, you give away your position on the field. You confirm her unspoken belief. I still have him. He's still within reach. That single confirmation kills urgency. It removes the mystery that was making her wonder. It destroys the space where her doubt and regret were beginning to grow. Instead of sitting with her uncertainty, she feels reassured, secure in the knowledge that she can draw you back into her world whenever she chooses. And once that security returns, the psychological advantage you held disappears completely. This is the part most men never understand. They think one message is just a small step back, something they can recover from. But the truth is, it resets the entire dynamic to where it started. You go from being the man she can't read to the man she can predict, from rare to accessible, from sovereign to available. And in doing so, you strip yourself of the very thing that made her take notice in the first place, your absence. In moments like this, you have to remember the battlefield isn't out there, it's in you. The fight is not to make her miss you, but to master the part of yourself that craves immediate relief. That craving isn't weakness, it's a physiological loop. Your brain wants a dopamine hit to soothe the unease. If you don't redirect it, it will drive you to act against your own interests. So break the loop before it breaks you. When the urge to text hits, don't sit in it. Move. Lift weights until your body feels the burn more than your mind feels the longing. Write in a journal until the swirl of thoughts becomes something you can see clearly on paper. Take a long walk without your phone, letting the rhythm of your steps quiet the noise. Train your nervous system to find calm in action, not in chasing what left. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not found in sending the message, it's found in resisting the need to send it. Every time you choose to hold your ground, you prove to yourself that you can endure the discomfort without breaking, and in doing so, you become stronger, more centered, and less dependent on any outcome with her. Stay silent, not as a strategy to provoke her, but as an act of sovereignty over yourself. Because in a world where most men fold at the first rise of discomfort, the man who doesn't becomes unforgettable. And when she realizes you are no longer a man she can summon, the silence you've kept will speak louder than anything you could have said. For they miss what's gone, not what's always there. A predictable presence is easy to forget, but what's gone, truly gone, creates its own gravity. When you are always there, whether through messages, likes, or quiet digital shadows, you give her no space to miss you. You leave no room for her to wonder, to feel the ache of your absence. Without mystery, there's no pull. Without space, there's no longing. Real absence is not dramatic. It's quiet, clean, and unannounced. It's not about slamming a door. It's about slowly removing yourself from the doorway until she realizes you're no longer standing there. It's like pulling the oxygen from a fire. Without fanfare, without warning, it starves the flames. And the absence doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like something essential slipping away. Women don't process absence through reason. They feel it in their bodies, in the stillness between distractions. That's where the real theatre happens, inside her own mind. In that quiet, the stage is cleared for memory to play on repeat. The moments she once took for granted, your laugh, your voice, the way you carried yourself, start to echo in the empty space you've left behind. She begins to notice the small ways life feels different without you in it, and those realizations don't fade quickly. The longer she can't reach you, the more those memories sharpen. What was once background noise in her life now becomes the soundtrack she can't stop hearing. She replays conversations, wonders if she misread your silence, and starts questioning whether the door she closed will ever open again. This is where your absence shifts from being an event to being an environment, one she has to live in, whether she likes it or not. And this is why you don't just disappear into nothing. You disappear into becoming more. Withdraw into self-betterment. Train your body until it commands presence. Build your craft until it speaks for you. Create a lifestyle so rooted in purpose and movement that it radiates from you, even in your silence. When she catches a glimpse, whether through mutual friends, a chance encounter, or even just hearing your name, it should be clear you've outgrown the man she once knew. That's the sting. Not that you're gone, but that the version of you she could once access is no longer available. You've leveled up, and she doesn't have a ticket to the new chapter. This is not about flaunting your progress to provoke her. It's about elevating yourself so completely that the old patterns, the old dynamics, no longer fit the life you're living. You don't stay unforgettable by raising your voice, by proving your worth in her presence, or by making sure she sees you every chance you get. You become unforgettable by being the chapter she can't reopen, the story she can't rewrite. Your absence becomes the teacher, the mirror, the reminder that some doors close and never open again. So step fully into that space, not with bitterness but with purpose. Let your life grow so expansive that it no longer revolves around whether she's watching, because the truth is, when you vanish into the work of becoming more, you stop being someone she can take for granted and start being the one she will measure others against long after the silence has settled. And that's the kind of presence absence can create. 5. Silence is a way of living. If your silence is nothing more than a calculated move to get a reaction from her, you're not free. You're still dancing to her rhythm. You've just changed the steps. Many men convince themselves they're practicing detachment, but in reality, they're glued to her every digital footprint. They check her posts, scan for story views, and measure their own worth by whether her name appears in their notifications. That's not detachment, it's fixation wearing a mask. And believe me, she can feel that energy. Real silence doesn't exist to provoke. It's born from purpose. It's not a performance to see if she'll break. It's a decision to stop performing for her altogether. It's what happens when you shift your attention entirely to your own construction, to the body you're building, the mind you're sharpening, the mission you're pursuing. It's a way of existing that's so full and self-directed, it no longer leaves space for constant speculation about her next move. The truth is, if you're still hoping for her to notice, you haven't truly left. That hope is a tether, keeping you in emotional orbit around someone who may no longer deserve a seat at the center of your life. And as long as you're waiting, she will never feel the emptiness of your absence. Why? Because you're still energetically present. She doesn't feel the void. You're filling it with invisible attention, with subtle signals that she's still the reference point for your thoughts and actions. But when silence becomes rooted in something deeper, everything changes. In Stoicism, apatheia, freedom from being ruled by passion, teaches that you cannot control the thoughts or actions of others, only your own. This isn't emotional numbness, it's emotional sovereignty. It's the choice to pour your time and energy into the only domain where you have true power, yourself. That's when your silence stops being a tactic and becomes a state of being. It's no longer about waiting for her to notice. It's about moving so far forward that whether she notices or not no longer matters. The shift is subtle but seismic. You stop crafting your life as a statement to her, and you start crafting it as a reflection of who you're becoming. The gym session isn't a signal. The business move isn't a hint. The quiet days aren't a strategy. They're just life, lived fully on your own terms. And here's the paradox. When you finally stop aiming your silence at her, that's when she feels it the most. She realizes she's not being ignored. She's been left behind. You didn't just stop talking. You stopped orbiting. You're not leaning away while still watching from the corner. You've turned your back and walked into a new landscape entirely. When silence becomes your default, it's no longer a pause between words. It's the sound of a man who no longer needs to speak to prove his value. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows that his worth was never dependent on who stayed or who left. And when she sees that, it cuts deeper than any message could, because it's no longer about her at all. That's the power you hold, to live in such a way that silence isn't the space between interactions, but the foundation of a life so grounded, so purposeful, that it speaks for you. And when you master that, you don't just become unforgettable, you become untouchable. 6. Emotional discipline is the new magnetism. In a world full of men who move at the mercy of their impulses, the man who stays steady becomes unforgettable. He stands out not because he is louder, but because he is unshaken. Most men can't hold that line. They text when they feel lonely. They chase when they feel ignored. They fold when the silence stretches longer than they can bear. And every time they do, they trade away their presence for a moment of relief that leaves them weaker than before. Emotional discipline is not numbness. It's not shutting off your heart or pretending you don't care. It's the ability to feel the entire weight of your emotions without letting them drag you into reckless action. It's knowing the difference between acting from strength and acting from discomfort, and choosing strength every time. The craving to reconnect is like a wave. For most men, that wave pulls them under. They flail, they grasp for something familiar, and they send the message they swore they wouldn't send. But the disciplined man doesn't drown. He rides the wave until it loses its power. That ability to wait, to hold, to breathe through the pull is what rewires you. Every time you resist, you retrain your nervous system. You teach it that dignity matters more than dopamine. You remind yourself that the reward is not in the quick fix, but in the long-term strength you're building. And with each repetition, you create a new default, one where your first instinct is not to reach out, but to stand firm. Discipline like this doesn't happen by accident. It needs structure. That's why you create rituals to meet the moments of temptation head-on. When the urge to reach out hits, you have 3 non-negotiable actions ready. Train. Move your body until the energy fueling your craving burns off in sweat. Create. Put your focus into building something tangible, whether it's work, a skill, or a project that moves your life forward. Learn. Feed your mind so it grows sharper and stronger, reminding yourself that every investment in knowledge makes you harder to replace. These rituals replace need with growth. They take the energy that would have gone into chasing her and redirect it into becoming more of a man worth chasing. And here's the truth that changes everything. True attraction is not built on the words you say to her or the gestures you make. It's built on the self-command you embody. A woman can sense when a man is centered, when his emotions are real but do not control him. She can feel when he stands in his own authority, unshaken by her silence or anyone else's. That kind of steadiness doesn't just make her take notice. It makes her question whether she's ever known a man like you before. In a sea of men who crumble under the weight of their own feelings, you become the rare one, the man whose center cannot be moved. And that's a force far more magnetic than charm, looks, or clever words. Because when you have mastered yourself, you've mastered the one thing no one else can touch. And when she realizes she can't pull you off center, the silence between you stops feeling like her victory and starts feeling like your presence, even from a distance. That's the kind of magnetism that doesn't fade. That's the kind that makes you unforgettable. 7. Stillness. She never saw coming. The storm she was prepared for never came. She braced herself for the arguments, the emotional appeals, the desperate attempts to prove you still cared. But instead of thunder, there was calm. Instead of chaos, there was stillness. And that stillness was not weakness. It was strength she could not touch. She counted on your reaction. She needed it to reassure herself that she still mattered, that she still had the power to pull you back into her orbit. In her mind, it was inevitable. You would eventually break the silence, reach out, and confirm the story she'd been telling herself. But you didn't, and that absence of reaction said more than any words could have. You went quiet, not in bitterness, not in anger, but in alignment. You stopped moving toward her and started moving toward yourself. You changed, and you didn't announce it. There was no grand statement, no performance for her to witness, just a man quietly stepping into a new chapter of his life, one that no longer revolved around her approval or her attention. That absence became a presence of its own. It followed her into moments she didn't expect. While she was alone in her car, lying awake at night, or scrolling through her phone with no message from you waiting. Silence like that is heavy. It sits in the air, invisible yet undeniable, making her wonder where you went, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Slowly, the realization crept in. The man she thought she could summon with a text, a post, or a glance is now the man she cannot reach at all. The bridge she assumed would always be there is gone, not because you burned it, but because you outgrew it. And when a man truly outgrows a place, he cannot fit back into it, no matter how much the past tries to call him home. This is where your power comes from. You didn't just stop chasing, you kept walking. You filled your life with so much purpose, so much meaning, that she naturally became a chapter, not your conclusion. You built in the silence, you grew in the stillness, and without realizing it, you became a man defined not by who left him, but by what he built after they were gone. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free. It takes courage to resist the pull of old patterns. It takes bravery to let go without needing to make your absence understood. But that is exactly what sets you free, free from needing her validation, free from the cycle of reaction, free from the weight of being who you used to be. Your stillness is no longer a tactic. It's who you are. It's the calm born from knowing that your worth isn't determined by whether she returns, and that your life moves forward regardless. And that is the kind of strength she can't anticipate, can't control, and ultimately can't resist. Because in a world that expects men to prove themselves through noise and reaction, you became something far rarer. The man who speaks loudest through his silence. And that's the one she never saw coming. Hold the line, gentlemen. Your silence is not a pause. It's a declaration. You've stepped out of her orbit and into your own gravity. This is where your strength is rebuilt. Don't trade months of discipline for just moments of relief. If this message grounded you, like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station. Type in the comments, "Stillness is my strength." Mark your stand. Then, keep walking the path toward the man you were meant to become. Your future is waiting. Don't keep it waiting.